Nuns. A man of tremendous courage and grit may someday be recognized as a great American hero for what he has exposed and what he has had to endure. Soon, operator. Soon, operator. Coast to coast and then to Chicago. Of course, I am not talking about the real man here. Let's see. Let's see what's going on here.
After he watches a bit of Fox TV, he called the authors, the memo's author, Congressman Devin Nunes, quote, a man of tremendous courage and grit, may someday be recognized as a great American hero. We also went after the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, saying this, among other things, little Adam Schiff is one of the biggest liars and leakers in Washington. What do you think of the president's attack on Adam Schiff and his praise for Devin Nunes?
Well, this is something we've seen from the president over and over and over again. Anyone who disagrees with him or crosses him or criticizes him or subjects him to scrutiny ends up at the other end of an obnoxious and critical tweet. And anyone who stands up for him, whether it's based on principle or not, he lionizes as a hero. Look, I don't know Devin Nunes. I actually don't know Adam Schiff either. But I think from the public record and given the kinds of materials that they put forward, Adam Schiff strikes me as a person who is of some rigor, former assistant U.S. attorney. Devin Nunes, on the other hand, says a lot of things based on what I've seen on television and in print that don't make a lot of sense. I believe earlier today he said something like, the President of the United States is not, we don't know that the President of the United States and George Papadopoulos have ever even met, even though there's a photograph that's been widely circulated showing them at a meeting together at the same table. So this is the chief person on the Intelligence Committee as a Republican, and he doesn't know basic facts about the case. He also has suggested other things that don't make a lot of sense, such as Carter Page is the type of person who shouldn't even be scrutinized by the FBI. And I think most people, whatever side of the aisle you're on, who appreciate the kinds of things that have come out about Carter Page and others, would disagree with that as well. Now, there have been chairs on the Republican and Democratic side of the Intelligence Committee who I think have been known for rigor and integrity and good work product. Mike Rogers comes to mind, for example, Republican chair of that committee. And based on everything that I've seen, and based on the things that I know about how the world works, Devin Nunes is not that person.
Yeah, there's a long history of bipartisan cooperation in the House Intelligence Committee and the Senate Intelligence Committee. Continues, at least for now, in the Senate Intelligence Committee. It isn't happening at all on the House Intelligence Committee. I want to point out the intelligence memo. Let's discuss this and more with our senior legal analyst, Preet Bharara. He's also a former U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. Preet, the president says he's been vindicated by that Republican majority House Intelligence Committee memo. What do you think?
I think no, he has not been. And as you pointed out in the earlier reporting in this segment, there are a number of Republicans, including people who were on the House Intelligence Committee like Trey Gowdy, who also disagree with that assessment. It's a 3.5-page memo, which doesn't say a whole heck of a lot about a lot of things. But one of the things it does say is that the investigation that we're talking about here and on TV every day and every week began not with that dossier, but with a meeting that George Papadopoulos had. So this idea that the Russian investigation is somehow inappropriate or improper, or that the president is vindicated, I mean, it doesn't implicate the president, certainly, but it doesn't vindicate him of anything.
President, as you know, he took to Twitter once again today, as he likes to do in the morning, usually after he watches a bit of Fox. Has been silent so far. Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee wrote their own memo on the Russia investigation. They wanted it to be released at the exact same time as the Devin Nunes Republican memo was released, but the Republican majority blocked that last week. Our congressional correspondent, Sunlen Srifati, is up on Capitol Hill. Sunlen, are we getting any closer to seeing that Democratic minority memo emerge?
Yes, potentially. Well, the House Intelligence Committee, they're meeting behind closed doors at 5 p.m. Eastern time tonight, where they will consider and vote on potentially releasing that Democratic memo. Now, Republicans, they hold a majority on that committee, so important to note here that this memo will need Republican support to get through it and to move towards potentially being publicly released. And my colleagues Manu Raju and Jeremy Erb report that now at least 3 Republicans on that committee indeed say that they will vote in support of publicly releasing the Democratic memo. That means that when and likely, if and when, likely when later tonight this gets passed in committee, that will send the matter over to the White House. And then essentially the ball will be in President Trump's court, whether he releases this or not, moves to declassify it. So we'll really follow the same trail that we saw last week with President Trump deciding to release the Devin Nunes memo. He will have 5 days to determine whether he will or not to release this Democratic memo. White House officials telling our team over at the White House that it will be evaluated whether or not President Trump release it. So at this moment, it's very unclear what President Trump will do.
Sullivan Serfati up on Capitol Hill, thank you very much. President Trump is continuing, meanwhile, to beat the drum. Sullivan Serfati. President Trump is
of tremendous courage and grit, may someday be recognized as a great American hero, the president says, for what he has exposed and what he has had to endure. Now, as for Adam Schiff, who is obviously behind a rival Democratic Party memo, the president is making it pretty clear what his feelings are about Adam Schiff. We can put this up on screen. There's no surprise here. There's a personal insult directed at Adam Schiff. Little Adam Schiff, who is desperate to run for higher office, is one of the biggest liars and leakers in Washington, right up there with Comey, Warner, Brennan, and Clapper. Adam leads closed committee hearings to illegally leak classified or confidential information, must be stopped. Wolf, it should be noted, in just the president's Twitter feed this morning, he has gone after the judiciary, the justice system of this country, and going after Comey. He's gone after Jim Clapper and Brennan from the CIA. That obviously represents the intelligence community. He's also going after members of Congress, of course, of Adam Schiff, and he was also going after the news media, praising Fox and Friends, and saying that its competition were untruthful. So just about every corner of American life that is subjecting this administration to scrutiny is on the receiving end of the president's broadsides this morning. And Wolf, one other thing we should point out, there are Republicans who are really eager to hear the president talk about his message from the State of the Union speech. That was completely overshadowed last week. And here is the president out in Ohio this afternoon. He's supposed to be talking about his tax cuts, something that the White House criticizes us in the media for not covering enough, saying we don't cover the president's agenda enough. And yet the president stepping on his own message, his own economic message, and going after all these various institutions here in Washington that have been subjecting his White House and his administration to scrutiny through this Russia investigation.
And it was interesting, Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, he responded right away.